the most powerful weapons that chosen ones have. You cannot go to a gunfight, then you carry the children gun that just water is used in it. No, the kind of battle you are involved in determines the weapon you carry to war. And this is why Paul in 2 Corinthians 10:4 would tell us that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Why? Ephesians 6:12, Paul tells us that we are not fighting against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against rulers. So you need power and authority. In Luke 4:32-36, this was after Jesus had delivered a man from an unclean spirit. And those that had witnessed these miracles, they were so marveled, such that this was the commentary they made. What a word is this? With authority and power, he commandeth the unclean spirits, and they come out. In other words, they were verifying that the reason why Jesus' word was with authority, the reason why he could command unclean spirits and they come out, the reason why he had power over nature was because he had these two things, power and authority. Another proof of this we find in Mark 11:27-28. So this was after Jesus had done many miracles, and religious leaders from the scribes, the chief priests, and the elders, they came and were questioning, like, by whose authority do you do these things? So to them, they were not questioning if the miracles were real. What they wanted to know is, who gave Jesus the power and authority to do these things? In other words, they were acknowledging for Jesus to be able to do the things that he did was because there was power and authority that had been granted to him. And also in John 3, we see this noble man, distinguished man in the society, Nicodemus. He did not come to challenge the doctrine of Jesus. He came to verify and attest to the fact that nobody can do the things that Jesus would do unless God was with him. In other words, he was also attesting to the fact that Jesus possessed a kind of a power and authority that was different from other rabbis. Before you go out on your mission as a chosen one, you need power and authority. And this is because your job is spiritual. Luke 9:1. This verse is telling us Jesus gave his disciples these two things, power and authority. And then it's giving us the reason he gave them: to have power over devils and to cure diseases. In other words, it's telling us that the mission that Jesus was sending these agents was deliverance mission, was liberation mission. In other words, their mission was spiritual. And that's why they needed power and authority.